It's been said that you should judge a society by how it collectively treats the least among it. Also, it's been said that child molesters are the worst kind of people. So, as the worst kind of people, we will consider child molesters as the worst among us. So, we will judge our society based on how we treat the worst among us, how we treat child molesters. Well, for one thing, your typical child molester is going to be somebody who was socialized in a society that sexually retards all boys and girls, creating shame and fear so that the children are more manageable and so that you can control population so people aren't having kids at too young of an age because they're too afraid and too shame-filled to have sex. Then those kids grow up and they're absolutely sexually retarded, and some of them become predators. I just finished watching a lot of the show To Catch a Predator, and one thing I'll say is every inch of that is entrapment and not legal, but the people are confessing, and so then it becomes justifiable after the fact. But if these people knew their rights, none of that would go by because none of them are, there's no actual victim. There's a made up victim. And of course, that's the law of our land, but everyone will go against the law of the land and the written laws that we live by when it suits them. And what better way to do it than somebody who would have sex with a child? Never mind the fact that in all of those cases that I just finished watching, like a dozen of them, every one of them, the child was, the supposed child, was soliciting the person. Now, of course, well, yeah, but that person has a responsibility to go against the solicitation by the child. Here's the problem with this. That kind of show is predicated all on a nation of bad parents who can't control their kids worth a damn. First of all, they just try to shame and guilt their kids out of having sex. Then when they can't control their kids, they look to control everyone around their kids. Nobody better take my slutty daughter as the slut she presents herself to be. My daughter's not really like that. She's asexual. She's just confused right now and thinks she's interested in sex. You can buy into that all that you want. You can pretend every child is just a victim when they want to have sex before you think they should, and somebody is willing to be the other side of that. It's enough to say we have an arbitrary, this is the United States where I'm making this video, and the typical age of consent is 16 years around our nation. A few places it's 18, but everyone that talks about this as an epidemic of child molestation is the term they were using in To Catch a Predator. They neglect the fact that 16 is the age of consent in most places in this nation. And they neglect, of course, the fact this is arbitrary. So if you're across this line, it's this rule, this line, it's that rule. And they take no consideration, they take no consideration as to whether or not the child would have been a willing participant. The difference between rape, forcible rape, and statutory rape, like, hey, they're not able to choose, is completely blurred in the minds of these people who have been, of course, sexually retarded, and they just want to find a way to control the kids they can't control so they control everyone around them. So what we have going on is this made up number, and it's fair enough, you have to make up a number. Okay, don't have sex with people under this age, they can't even choose for themselves. But you absolutely don't value the opinion of those kids. And then one day, as soon as they turn 18, they go from, you can't speak for yourself. Anybody who tries to let you explore any sexuality, unless they're this age, anybody who tries to get you to explore, they're going to go to jail forever. They're going to, well, they're really going to go to jail forever. They're going to go to jail for a certain amount of time. Then they're going to be sex offenders, which is like social jail for the rest of their lives. So you can keep doing this, but as soon as that child reaches this arbitrary age, most places it's 16, plenty of places it's 18, but we'll just say 18. As soon as they reach this age, now anyone can do anything they want to you. That is going to ruin a lot of kids because then they will be exploited without any context for any of this stuff. So for every To Catch a Predator success, where they demonize and scapegoat some sexually retarded person who was raised in a culture of shame and guilt and never knew sexuality. And so they go after people who were about the age they were when they became sexually retarded, trying to reclaim their youth. Doesn't matter. Now they're a problem. We need to step over them to save the children. Well, guess what? You're retarding the children even more. Meanwhile, perhaps the last thing I'll say about this, meanwhile, for every self-righteous To Catch a Predator success and the perverted justice nonsense, they say we're the biggest and the best anti-predator site online. It's like a fucking popularity contest with these idiots. For every success, there really are kids out there exploring their sexuality, aka being molested. See, I actually know my enemy, so I've actually talked to people who are in trouble for sex offense against children, and plenty of them have said that the kids that they were with, they weren't the first person that kid was with, and that it was completely they got in trouble long after the fact for being with that kid, and that kid just went on about their life after having plenty situations like that. Then once the arbitrary cutoff of 18 happens for that kid who was supposedly a victim and ruined this person's life, I'll get to the fact women can do this in a second, and the selective entrapment of To Catch a Predator. This kid moves on with their life, having been a pawn in destroying the lives of so many sexually retarded people. That person just moves on, conflicted as hell. Now, as to the entrapment of To Catch a Predator, you'll notice if you watch the show that they meticulously entrap these people. They set it up. They lure these people. I'm not defending the people, but pay attention. If you wanted to lure, if you went onto a chat room and said, "Hey, I'm a 13-year-old boy. I'm rich though. I have thousands of dollars. I will pay you, middle-aged woman, $3,000 to suck my dick." I bet you could catch a lot of female predators that are willing to be a prostitute and willing to molest a boy. But instead, that doesn't play into the narrative of women are victims, men are villains, everyone should stay sexually retarded. The girls are by nature asexual, so even if they're trying to have sex, they don't know any better. This is a mess, and this is what you're creating. Trying to control every child's potential sex partners, you're creating even more and more potent sexual retards, and then letting them loose at 18 or whatever arbitrary number there is. This is a problem.